you look at the camera. Well, good evening to each and every one of you. It is 6:30 p.m. Good afternoon. I hope your Monday has been blessed thus far. We are here. We're so excited to be here with you tonight to talk about being financially fit. So my name is Jennifer Bell, and this is my husband, Jeffrey Bell. And we're on a mission to be financially fit, spiritually fit, be healthy physically, you name it. So as you're hopping on, let us know where you're watching from. Send us a quick little wave so we can say hello to you. And tonight is going to be a little bit over an overview of what you can expect. So we're going to dive into this. Good afternoon, good evening to each of you. Thanks for hopping on. Hi, Lydia. And I will say this as we go through and share with you tonight and every time that we're on each week. Let us know questions that you have. Just go ahead and post them down below. I'll be watching for the comments. He's the expert. But as we get started, you guys have seen me. You know I'm on that journey to be fit spiritually, financially, financially, etc. Hello to all of you. But I want my husband to just kind of give you a little bit of background of why he is a great person to learn from when it comes to being financially fit. So honey, why don't you share and just tell people who you are, a little bit about your background as we go into what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, thank you. Really looking forward to this opportunity to sit down and talk about financial plans. A little bit about my background, 20 years in the Air Force. I was a comptroller for about 15 of those years. So my whole entire career was in financial management. And I've also had an opportunity to work and teach financial peace as well in our church. And so this is really an area that I really enjoy in just sharing information and stuff with people so that they can learn and be more financially sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so as we get started, once again, I have a question, and just kind of give me a thumbs up or whatever emoji you want to use. Or let's do this. Put a 1 in the comments if you have a financial plan. Just put a 1 in the comment if you have a financial plan. If you don't, that's okay. That's what we're going to be helping and sharing with you these next few weeks about how to do that. So with that being said, honey, why don't you just kind of give us a little starting definition so that everybody's on the same page as far as what do you mean when you say having a financial plan? What is a financial plan?
Okay. Now, one thing going back, and you had just mentioned, you asked the folks as far as if they have one. And going back and looking at some of these statistics, they said individuals, they would like to have a financial plan, but about 40% of people don't have one. So there definitely is a need to have one. Now, so what is it? A financial plan is nothing more than a roadmap identifying your long and your short-term goals. The important thing is to be able to put that down in writing, but it's your short and your long-term goals and your strategy and your plan for accomplishing those goals.
So that sounds like with anything in life, really, whether it's health, you guys know I'm in health and wellness, whether it's your education or whatever, you have to have a plan. But in making those goals, I know that any goal that you make, it needs to be a SMART goal. So when you talk about making short-term goals and long-term goals, making them smart, I'll just say that real quickly, make sure they're specific, measurable, attainable, are realistic, and time-bound. So what, as far as making this financial plan, kind of tell us about a short-term goal and a long-term goal.
Sure. And this is something where you're going to have to spend some time, get a sheet of paper, and write down what's very important to you. And that's one thing that Jennifer and I are going to do when we're going through and we're sharing this information with you in the next couple of weeks. We're going to share our experiences. We'll be very real with this because we actually use these strategies. As an example, one of the things that we're considering doing in the next couple of years is that we would like to be able to purchase a different home. And so going back and looking at that, looking at what's all involved in developing this plan and this goal as far as making a home purchase. Our goals have changed. You know, when the children were here, we have 3 kids. When they were all here, we had to factor in a lot of different things in going back and identifying what our goals are. Well, now our youngest one's getting ready to graduate from high school. She's moving out. And so now we have to retailer our goals, looking at as far as what we want, just based on the two of us.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're looking at. We've gone back and we said, yeah, we would like to buy a new home in 3 or 4 years. So now that's one thing. Now you got to go back and identify, as an example, how much of a down payment we would like to make.
Yeah.
What size home would we like to have, all of the details. There are also some things that we want to accomplish before we even make that as a goal.
Right.
So I said in the next 3 or 4 years, and we put it in writing, this is what needs to happen so that we're in the best position to be able to purchase this home. So that's one thing. So going back and making a home purchase it can be a goal that you identify. Like I said, it's different for different people. You might be interested in buying a home maybe 20 years from now. So what do you need to do? Put that down in writing and write it. Another thing is college. Whether it's yourself going back to college, whether you have children and then you're planning on sending them to college, that is something that you want to start planning for now. I was going back and again looking at some of the statistics, and they said college debt, as far as it's the second highest consumer debt, right behind a mortgage. And I was really amazed with these numbers. They said there's 44 million Americans that have college debt, and they said they owe $1.5 trillion towards that debt. Not 1.5 million, not 1.5 billion, $1.5 trillion. And that's second behind mortgages.
Wow.
And so you've got two big areas where we have an opportunity where we can get ahead of this process and we can start planning for mortgages. You can start looking at college as far as paying that down. Now, it's one thing. I think ideally it'd be great if we could pay for our house and pay for our mortgage and pay for college education, 100% of it in cash. But what you want to do is put yourself in the best position so that at least you can pay that down.
Right,
so at least you don't have so much debt that you're having to accrue.
Okay. Hang on, because we have some new people that are hopping on. Hey, just so you kind of know what we're talking about having a financial plan, and Jeff is explaining about one of the first things to do is to make smart goals, short-term and long-term. So we were talking about one of our short-term goals, and we're going to be real with y'all through this whole session. We're going to be transparent and just tell you about our journey to financial peace, to financial freedom, those types of things. And I see that Taj is on line now. One of the things was to start looking to see where we can, where we're going to fit in for our needs as empty nesters. And Taj, she's actually our realtor right now, kind of, sort of, she's looking out for us. But some of those things that you need to start putting in action. First, the short-term goals. What are you going to do in the next 2 or 3 years as you're leading to that, right? And then long-term goals, maybe you have a child right now. Have you thought about them with their college plan? I mean, not everybody's going to get academic scholarships all 4 years or however. So do you have a plan for that? So you may think that because your child is 2, 3, maybe even a baby. I see some of my friends are on that have small kids. Do you have a college plan for them? So these are some of the things we're going to be talking about. You want to say anything else about, hey, Danielle, just a little hello to everybody as you're hopping on.
Yeah, sure. And again, these are just some examples. I mean, this isn't an exhaustive list, but we talked about a mortgage. We talked about college education, even vacations. You know, if you have a vacation that you want to go to, and again, keeping it real, one of the places that we want to visit is Africa. And so, we're going to start looking at when we want to go, how we're going to get there, how much it's going to cost, and then start setting aside the budget to be able to accomplish that. So it really takes some time, because like I said, everybody's plan is different. Just sit down, write it on paper, sit down and talk about it. Communication is very important in this process. And just write down, what is it that I want to accomplish next year, immediately? What do I want to accomplish in about 5 years? And then what is my long-term plan as well?
I love that. I see you guys are hopping on, and some of my friends, especially those, just because, it doesn't matter your income, everybody needs a plan. I love that Taj says we planned for 2 years prior to our move. I see that my friend Janetta has hopped on, and I have watched her journey. And, she had a vision about what she wanted her home to be like. And you don't just jump out there, guys, right? So have that plan and making sure that your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, basically. And then get some advice. So what we're going to be doing, why don't you just share what they can expect from us each week. as we talk about financial fitness?
Okay, so this is really the first step, to go through and identify your goals. And again, one of the other things that's a part of that is retirement planning. You know, that's another goal. You know, some people say, yeah, I want to work until I'm in my 70s and 80s. But you have to plan realistically.
Right.
You know, sometimes unfortunate incidents can happen where you cannot work. And so you want to make sure that you plan for that properly. You know, so retirement planning is very important. But all of these are a part of your goals. You need to spend some quality time going back through and identifying those. Again, short-term, medium-term, and then long-term goals as well. But what we're going to be talking about in the next couple of weeks is setting up a budget. And we've talked about this briefly, but going back through, identifying where all of your expenses are, going back through and cutting those expenses, identifying all of your sources of income, and then also creating an emergency fund. You know, one of the things that can really hurt your savings is having to tap into that because you don't have an emergency fund that's set up. Okay, so it's really important to make sure that we create an emergency fund. Getting out of debt. You know, the scripture tells us that you know, God does not want us to be a borrower, but he wants us to be a lender.
Yes.
You know, and so when you go back and you look at some of the things that we were just talking about in the large amount of consumer debt that we have, we're kind of going in the opposite direction. You know, so we want to make sure that we're lenders, that we have plenty of cash to be able to do the things that we want to do, so that we can be a blessing to ourselves and be a blessing to others. Okay, so getting out of debt is very important, and so we'll talk about that.
And we're gonna be real about that, y'all, because I had a whole bunch of debt. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Yes, we're gonna be very transparent in what we're doing.
And what we did to help get out of that.
Right.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, so getting out of debt, saving for retirement, kind of briefly talked about that, but we're going to spend some time talking about planning and saving for retirement, saving for the other goals and things that we've talked about. Because again, everything's not necessarily, you know, long term, you know, school and education, but you know, there's fun things that you want to do as well. So you can save for those things as well. And then the other thing we're going to finish up is having an adequate insurance. You know, insurance is very important because it's a protector of your assets. And so you've gone back through, you've got all of these wonderful plans, you've saved and everything else. Well, it's important to have adequate insurance to make sure you cover for these assets as well. So it's a good protection as well. So these are the areas that we're going to be talking about and touching in the next couple of weeks.
I love it.
You know, really encourage you guys to join in us in sharing these discussions. Ask your questions, and I'll try to come back in the following week and answer your questions and stuff. But we're really looking forward to this as we get into these discussions.
So any questions that you have about the expectation of what we're going to be sharing along these next few weeks? He talked about, what were they again, honey? Setting up your goals, setting up a budget, getting out of debt, retirement,
saving for other goals,
small and short, and insurance. If this is something that you know you want more information about it, y'all just give us some comments below. I saw one that says it's awesome content, because I'm telling you, there are a lot of people out there who just don't know. And I love how, I mean, I know he's my husband, I'm kind of biased, but how he breaks it down to where you can understand, what do I need to do? Tell me the how. I know I need to get out of debt. I know I would love to go on a vacation, but I don't think that I can because I don't have a budget. Those types of things are what we want to talk about and be so real about it. And I'm still learning, y'all, and I've lived with him for over 30 years, and no, almost 30 years, coming up on 30 years, and he's helped me so much with learning the budget. He's always known this. So we just want to share and get the information out to you guys. So if you have friends and family members who you think ought to hear this, hit that share button. We're going to try to come every Monday evening about 6:30. We're going to do that. We'll make sure if something changes. But meet us back here every Monday at 6:30, because next week we're going to be talking about setting up the budget. And I think that's going to be the foundation for your financial planning, is my thing. We haven't talked about what he's going to talk about, but I just love that he is offering his time to just help us to understand that, hey, you got to have a financial plan, because you don't want to have those emergencies in life happen all the time. Right. But if we're more prepared than not, they're not as hard to get through. So with that being said, thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. Tell somebody about financial fitness every Monday night right here from the comforts of your living room, whatever digital device you're using. 6:30 Central Standard Time. We cannot wait. Also, don't forget, post your questions below, or if you don't want to post it below, you can private message me, and we want to be sure to start off with questions that you have about the previous content, because we want to give you value. That's what we want to do. So thank you all for joining us, and we will see you back here next Monday, 6:30 Central Standard Time. Y'all have an amazing rest of your evening. Until next time, be blessed and choose joy. Thanks, hon.